Hey folks, welcome back to the Portable Gamer, welcome back to American Truck Simulator, and welcome to Eugene, Oregon. I did swap out the truck. This is a base game 579 and just a basic dry goods 53-foot box. We own the trailer. We just picked up a load here. We're going to take it to Ontario, but before we get rolling, I wanted to tell you it's kind of important. I think it's amazing. I wanted to share it with you. So when I got this rig hooked up this morning and was sort of testing it out to make sure everything worked okay in 1.37, I noticed the engine sounds had just absolutely gone to pieces. Clipping, cutting out, layering over top of each other, a lot of clicking, and it just really sounded awful. And I thought, well, you know what, that's okay because we're sorting our way through 1.37 beta. They'll get that fixed. And I decided to take a look on the workshop, Steam Workshop for ATS, and like 9 of the top 10 packages to download are engine packs. So I downloaded a bunch of those, Cummins, Caterpillar, Packard, Detroit Diesel, and I got rid of all the ones that we had. We're running a 575 horsepower Detroit Diesel in here, and with FMOD, the engine sounds now are absolutely unbelievable. So I'm going to be quiet now. I'm going to get close here so you can hear it a little bit better. I'm going to start it once outside, and then I'm going to shut it down and start it again on the inside. So here we go. I think that is absolutely amazing. It adds so much to the game, and I know it's just going to get better over the next few weeks as we get 1.37 sorted out. But yeah, super pleased about that. And something else that I noticed as we were coming up here, we're just outside of Eugene. We drove about 40 miles to come and pick up this cargo. And something that I noticed as I was coming over here, typical shift point for me in an American truck is about 2,000 RPM, because that's where it stops making power. Right? You stop accelerating at 2,000 RPM. You're not hitting the rev limiter. You're just not adding any more speed until you grab another gear. But from what I know about big trucks, 2,000 RPM, I mean, these engines don't rev super high. 2,000 RPM in a truck like this it sounds like the end of the world. And I feel like we weren't really getting that in Truck Sim to this point, but we're getting it now. And when we get out on the highway, I'll rev this thing out to 2,000 RPM, and it sounds as bad as it should. I never really noticed it was missing, but it's one of those things that can't be unheard. Now that it's there, I think it's going to make... Here we go. I think it's going to make driving a lot more fun. Plus, we have the windows to put up and down, so yeah, it is definitely different. I don't know how many layers are involved in an engine sound now, but it's got to be at least 2 or 3 times more than what there was before. When I looked in engine and sound mod files before, there were, I don't know, maybe 10 or 12 sound files. I'm curious how many there are in there now, because I feel like in addition to the actual just generic sound of the engine represented at different RPMs, I feel like you can definitely hear the blower, but you've sort of always been able to hear those, but it's different now. And I'm feeling like there's some valve train, there's some transmission whine, just a lot more depth to it. And I know that's all coming from FMOD. So kudos to SCS for bringing FMOD in, and I'm told that 1.38 is to graphics what 1.37 is to sound. So I know we don't even have 1.37 full release yet, and I'm already talking about 1.38, but I'm really curious what this game is going to look like in a few months. Next year. I think it's just everything that SCS has done for the past year. I've been really impressed with them, so kudos. And let's get sorted out here, and we'll talk about gaming. We'll talk about what's going on. Concentrating. Alright, I'll leave the windows down. Absolutely night and day. I love it. So put our windows up here. And I think we just set the cruise control. I think we got an exit up here already. Sure do. Right, so what snuck up on me this week? Let me see. TT Isle of Man snuck up on me. Isle of Man 2. And I'm pleased with that game. I'm going to call it a game. I don't know if there can ever be a motorcycle sim. I really don't. I think Milestone comes the closest with their MotoGP franchise and possibly with the MXGP franchise. But I don't know if there can ever really be an accurate motorcycle game, accurate enough that we could call it a sim. So we'll say TT Isle of Man, and it's not Milestone. It's who is it? KT and Big Ben. I think KT developed it, Big Ben published it. But it's a cool game, and all right, not going there. It's a cool game, and I'm really enjoying it. It's very, very hard. It's as hard as the first one, and there are some things, and as always, it's not just me noticing this, and that's when that happens, when that is the case, I feel somewhat reassured, right? No, I'm not crazy. Not that crazy, anyway. But it's... Do they... this way? Yeah, I guess we're going this way. There's really no way to preview a track, and there are a lot of very long road courses, and there's no way to preview them, so you just kind of get dumped in, and it feels... not quite random, but it's just until you've got them all memorized, and I don't know that you can memorize all of them. They're extremely long. They're very complex. So, I don't know. I feel like they really should have had some warm-up laps or some practice laps included in there, and little details like that. There's also quite a significant penalty for restarting, but you're going to do a lot of that, because there's a lot of crashing, particularly when you can't learn the track until you're on it. But, other than sort of ticky-tack stuff like that, it is fun. It is very, very hard. And I'm looking forward to spending more time in there. I'm looking forward to... I don't think, in the previous one, I don't think I ever made a complete fast lap of the Isle of Man, the big 36-mile loop. Is it Snaefels? I don't think I ever did it fast. I did it slow without crashing. I did it fast with lots of offs, but I don't think I ever was able to combine the two. It can be done. I've seen people do it, but I certainly didn't do it. Very difficult. So that, yeah, I was not expecting that. And I also saw MotoGP 20 will be released end of April, so looking forward to that. 2 motorcycle games, not too far apart. We got 2 train sims. Well, we got a Loco and we got a Route for Train Sim World. Concentrating. The Loco, I have to say, of the 2, I like it more. It's a switching Loco for the Peninsula Corridor route. And when I first started playing Train Sim World a couple of years ago, I really wasn't into the yard work, but I'm very much into it now. And for that reason, I think the Canadian National, the Oakville Subdivision DLC, is probably my favorite DLC of any of them to this point, because it's so much yard work. It's a lot of kind of slow, methodical, doing things, versus some of the older routes where you just kind of get in the train, set the throttle, and forget about it. So I'm enjoying that little switching Loco. Now this new route, this German route, I actually didn't do a video for it, and the reason why is I'm a little hot about it. Some of the German routes for Train Sim World, when you get on them, they feel a little familiar. Like I've been here before. I've seen these models before. I've seen these assets before. And I can understand efficiency from a developer wanting to reuse models and assets when possible. Keep the game small. I don't know if Dovetail is doing that, because I think Train Sim World with all DLC is like 170 gig. I don't know that they're really trying to save space or be efficient with their use of file size. I don't know. I think maybe they just reuse models and assets. But some of the German routes in particular, when you get on them, you feel like, I've been here before. This just, I could have loaded into one of the DLC that I already have instead of buying this one. That's how this felt. And then I saw some comments from people saying, yeah, no, I live in that area. It looks nothing like this. You've used a generic German landscape and then just dropped in a couple landmarks that you saw in Google Earth or something. I'm on to you, Dovetail. So I don't know that I would take it that far because I'm not from the area. I don't know exactly what that area looks like. And it's still, I mean, it's a good looking DLC and you get a couple locos. But I just, when I got that feeling of, you know, what have I bought here? What have I spent $30 on? I thought, you know, I'll skip it. Let's do a truck video instead. So, so that is Train Sim World. What else dropped? Colin McRae pack dropped for Dirt Rally 2.0, and then the Game of the Year edition is to be released in a couple days. And I think the Game of the Year might just be everything. I think it might just be an inclusive, like, one and done with everything. Season 2, Season 3, all of it. I like the McRae pack. It's 2 cars and 1 area, I guess. It's not really, I mean, it's rally, so it's sort of a combination of roads and circuit. Hang on, where am I supposed to go here? Okay, we're getting off here. So it's Scotland, and it's 2 cars, 2 Subarus. I mean, it's worth it for $10. It's worth it, and I find myself spending a lot of time completing, I guess, career modes that I kind of stepped away from, because what I do with a lot of race sims, and this is with the F1 franchise, with Assetto Corsa Competizione, with Dirt Rally, is I'll do a full career, a full year, a full season, whatever, and then start a second one, and then something catches my eye, and I sort of wander away from it. But that season is still intact. So I've jumped back into an F1 season, and a Assetto Corsa Competizione season, and a Dirt Rally 2.0 season. And I'm really enjoying all of them. I think some of that is a little bit of the cabin fever. I personally am immune to cabin fever because I work from home. It doesn't really affect me. But it's interesting to see with everything that's going on. You know, I think sometimes, how do I want to say this? It's almost like something doesn't need to be happening to you personally if it's happening to enough people around you. If it's happening all across a city or all across a country, it sort of percolates down to you, you know? So I'm not particularly stressed or bothered by everything that's happening right now. But I feel like enough other people are that there's just kind of a general, you know, in the air. And so it's making its way to me, and my response to that is to get into tasks that I've sort of forgotten or abandoned. So I've been driving a lot, been racing a lot. So the Colin McRae pack, yep, for $10, it's worth it. And I'm trying to think what else. I'm trying to new games, new stuff. There was something else. I know there was another one. I'll think of it. I'll think of it. And yeah, other than that, just been raiding. Man, it is amazing for me to see the way Tarkov has dropped off as soon as Warzone was released. And it makes sense. It makes sense why Nikita was pushing the game as hard as he was, because he knew what drops were coming. Doom Eternal and Warzone. And it's, I mean, I used to wait 5 minutes, 10 minutes to get into a raid. Now it's like 40 seconds. And if what Nikita was doing all along with the whole server issue, from when he started the promotions in December until just a week or two ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, but if what he was doing was just stalling and just telling everybody, yes, we're getting new servers, tons of new servers, we're going to take care of all these server problems, when really all he was doing was stalling until he got the calculated and anticipated drop-off in players when those other titles were released, then the server problem fixes itself. From a business perspective, that makes perfect sense, and I get where you're coming from. Why would you spend money and risk getting into a contractual commitment with a cloud server provider, knowing that first week of March, you're not going to need that capacity anymore? And I know, you know, people that really aren't familiar with how this whole process works have said, well, just go get more servers. Like, you go down to Office Max and just, you know, get a few more servers. And it doesn't work that way. And even if you're having someone host you, either terrestrial or cloud, ramping them up and down, you got to have a service contract with a provider, and they can turn that knob up and down, but you've paid for maximum capacity. So when you need to dial it back, they're on retainer. You'll get those services later, but you've already paid for them or you've already committed to them. It's not like a server provider just sends you a bill at the end of the month if you don't need anything. You tell them, hey, turn everything off, and they send you a tiny little bill. That's not how it works. People want your money up front in business. So I can see why Battle State and Nikita, if it played out that way, and I'm speculating as always, but I could see why Nikita and Battle State, why are we going up a mighty hill here? We are just like absolutely dropping off. Can't be that big a hill. What's going on here? Wait, a moment, please. I'm going to go third person. Hang on. Yeah, we just continue to slow down. We shouldn't be going 10 miles an hour, should we? A moment, please. Let's get this sorted out. God, look at that tailback behind us. Sorry, folks. Oh, that sounds amazing. I love it. Well, if nothing else, it gave us an opportunity to rev the engine out a few times. Right, Tarkov. Yeah, I don't know if that's what's happening, but if it is, you know, I can't really blame them from a business perspective. And as far as, you know, that's dishonest, man, if you think people in business don't lie to us all day, every day, you know, and it's one of those things that unless everybody agrees to the same set of rules, then you have to do it too. It's like the doping days of the Tour de France, you know, you can't not do it. If you're not going to dope, there's no point even competing because you can't. Everybody was doping in that era. And they may have cleaned it up or they may have just hidden it better. But business is the same way. You know, if everybody's being dishonest but you are not going to be able to compete. So we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. I know for me at the moment, it's allowing much shorter queue times. It's much faster to get into a raid, so I'll take it. I'm trying to think what else is going on. Nothing. Driving trucks, racing cars, playing with trains, farming, and you know, EVE Online. I talked about EVE Online a little bit. I may uninstall it. I love the concept, but I have to say the game is so big, I'm honestly confused as to what it is that I'm supposed to do. Because you can sort of do anything. And I appreciate that open-ended big world sort of take on things. But at the same time, I really would prefer a little more direction, a little more of a starting point in terms of, you know, what it is that what our goals are. And I know the whole point of the game is that you can do whatever you want. If you want to explore, you can explore. If you want to work, you can work. If you want to fight, you can fight. But they don't really tell you how to do any of those things. I mean, vaguely, generalities, but they don't exactly do much to get you started. I think that may be part of the charm of the game, is that you have to figure it out yourself, but I'm not figuring it out. Oh, beautiful. I'm not figuring it out, and I don't know where the break in the chain is. I think I may just be taking it too seriously and treating it too much like real life rather than just getting in there and having some fun. And that's true of most games. I don't like... how do I want to say this? I mean, the whole point of a video game is you can do whatever you want because there's really no risk. There's in-game risk, but there's typically very little risk that extends out beyond the game. Nothing is going to impact your real life other than perhaps some wasted time. But I hate crashing cars. I hate taking damage to a truck. I hate getting tickets. I hate getting killed in Tarkov. When they introduced the One Life mode in Division 2, I was so happy about that. Because I really do like to... I mean, I know you can't, but I like the idea of going end-to-end in a video game without ever dying. It can't be done. And in some ways it shouldn't be done because you learn how to play the game by taking risks and finding out where the limits are. But in something like Eve, when I combine that with my autism and the OCD, it's like I never want to fail, as I would not want to fail in real life. Well, in real life, there are real consequences. In a video game, there are no consequences. You can fail all you want, and that's all part of the learning process. So maybe I'm just taking it too seriously. Unknown. Get right through there. No ticket. Beautiful. And I'm trying to think what else. Yeah, still waiting on 1.37 for ETS. We do have our parallel profile already. Still waiting on Idaho and Iberia. Train Sim World. 2 DLC. Colin McRae pack. Let's slide over here. TT Isle of Man. Release date for MotoGP 20. I haven't seen a release date for F1 2020 yet. Oh, there you go. Here's something we could talk about. I saw, so on iRacing, some NASCAR drivers are doing what they're calling the replacement series. And the relationship that NASCAR has with fans, I think, is probably one of the best. There are some NFL teams, and I'm speaking strictly from my own experience in the United States. Your mileage may vary. But in the United States, there are some NFL teams that have a really, really good, healthy, awesome, amazing, committed relationship with their fans. Other teams, not so much. NASCAR, I feel, is an example of the former. They are really well connected with their fans. They love their fans. They really try to take care of their fans. And some races have been canceled or postponed. So on iRacing, they're doing this replacement series, and you've got NASCAR drivers, current and past, doing races on Tuesday night. Well, I heard that F1 was going to do something similar. And I was very interested in that. And my initial thought was, great, FIA is going to put this together, FIA, FOM, they're going to put this together, and they're going to have real F1 drivers, maybe not every single one of them, but they're going to have real F1 drivers driving in the F1 2019 lobby, right? They're going to set it up. It's going to be legit. It's going to be pro. It's going to be like the iRacing replacement series. And instead it was like 2 F1 drivers, a golfer, a goalkeeper, and a bunch of YouTubers. And it was some of the worst racing that I've seen. I mean, if you want to see good racing, and I'm by no means an iRacing fanboy. I like the service, and I think it's probably the best implementation of multiplayer racing anywhere right now. But I have no loyalty or allegiance to them. If something better came along tomorrow, I would be all over it. If you want to see good racing, watch a PRL race. Find it on YouTube and watch a PRL race in the iRacing service. Because what I saw was, it was just such a disappointment. I thought it really was going to be a replacement for the races that were canceled. I mean, I know it can't be, obviously, it can't be a complete replacement. I'm not expecting one-to-one accuracy. But I thought it would be the drivers trying to put on a good show for the fans that are terribly disappointed that they're going to miss. I mean, we may miss the entire F1 season. Who knows how it's all going to turn out. But I thought this will be nice. A nice group effort to give something back to the fans. These people make 20, 30, 50 million euro a year, right? Surely they can. No, they can't. And in a way, it makes perfect sense. I mean, a picture. Well, I don't want to be specific. I don't know who your favorite F1 driver is, but imagine your least favorite F1 driver. There, that's an easy way to do it. Imagine your least favorite. Your least favorite F1 driver taking time out of their off season. And I don't know if they're going to get paid or not. I don't know how their contracts are set up, whether they get paid per race or whether their salary is guaranteed. Unknown. But picture them taking time out from their 20 million euro a year lifestyle to play a video game when they don't have to. And I don't know how FIA, FOM could have compelled them to do that. So yeah, I'm not sure what I was expecting, but it was definitely better than what I got. And I don't even know if they're going to do it again next week. And if they do, I certainly won't be watching it. But what a disappointment. It really was. I mean, I know it's the world's kind of topsy-turvy right now, and we certainly have bigger things to worry about than whether or not we're going to miss, I don't know, part of the F1 season, part of the NASCAR season, all of it, right? Hockey season's canceled. That's disappointing. Basketball season's canceled. It's somewhat less disappointing, but still. Start of the baseball season has been delayed. It's really a different time. I've never experienced anything like this, and I know a lot of other people haven't either. But all of that, I think, pales in comparison to the real stuff that we could really be worried about. So I don't know. I'm on the fence about that, but it was definitely, I really thought they could have done better. And I guess also, even though it was on the F1 channel, I don't think they had anything to do with organizing it. Because it was just, I mean, F1, say what you will about F1, they run a pretty tight organization. And this was really just kind of a clown show. So, yep, that happened this week. And what else? Yeah, as far as gaming, yeah, a lot of drops. Oh, I did try out X-Plane briefly. And that may take a few tries to get into. It really felt a lot like Microsoft FSX did a long time ago. I didn't really notice much of a difference. The graphics were slightly better, but not as good as I thought they would be. And I was running on max settings. And it was also, I mean, the flight characteristics and flight dynamics, I assume, are accurate, tip-top. That's great. But as far as, just enjoying being in the sim, the first few times I tried it, it really didn't do anything for me. So I'll need to root around in there and see if there's something that I can do. It could just be a kind of a learning curve thing where the learning curve is not necessarily steep, but long. So we'll see how it plays out. I want to like it, but at this point, I think I prefer DCS. Even though DCS is, for me, the way that I bought it, much more limited as far as aircraft. I really only have the one. I mean, I got the free ones that you get with free DCS, but the only aircraft that I bought is the P-51 Mustang. So, yeah, we'll see. But I was, again, just wasn't what I was expecting. It really wasn't. So we'll see. And I think everybody is really curious what FS20 is going to look like. From what I've heard, from what I've seen, the game is so big and so detailed that everything will be server side. You really won't have a whole lot on your machine, and all the scenery will load in real time as you're playing. So hope you paid your internet bill, but it's, what is it, like 2 petabyte or something? I don't know. It's an unbelievably large amount of file space required for the terrain and textures. What's going on here? All right. But it looks fantastic. I don't know if I'll even be able to play it. I really don't. So we'll have to see. And that's due, what, this year sometime? God, it's already, what? Yeah, this year is already like a quarter over. Golly. Time flies. And I think, yep, I'm going through my mental list. I think that's all I got. Yeah. Yeah, there's some new content for Division 2 that I'm not going to be... Oh. Truck and trailer stability are low. I come to those turns sometimes and I realize I'm going too fast and there's really nothing I can do. I mean, I can't brake at that point. All I can really do is just try to open up the steering as much as possible without running into oncoming traffic. Yeah, pretty much a professional move right there. That's how the real truckers do it. Yep, Division 2 stuff. That's been out for a few weeks now. Yeah, and then there's the new Ghost Recon Breakpoint Ghost War. Man, I don't know what, if anything, they can do to fix that game. I think at a certain point, you gotta just accept the error and move on. It's like trying to release a movie. You know, you release a movie and it sucks and everybody hates it, and you're like, hey, you know what? We'll fix it. We'll edit that for you. You're gonna love it. And a year later, you release it again. Yeah, I don't think so. That's direct to video. I'm not gonna pay to go see a movie that disappointed me the first time. So I don't know. I mean, maybe it is a different model with a video game that you can sort of tweak it and tune it and fix it, make it good again. But I'm not confident that Ghost Recon Breakpoint is ever gonna live up to the hype from 2019. And there are too many other titles dropping. You know, that's the thing is, I know some people, when a game is released, that's it, man. Spirit animal. They were waiting for it, and they're just going to play it. That's it for them. But that's a minority. That is absolutely a minority. I think most people like to kind of move around a little bit. I mean, I look in Steam and see, you know, what games I played in the previous week, and it varies. You know, it really does from week to week. It changes, and the idea that I would only ever play one game, and even when I binge on a game, it's for a few weeks or a month, you know, and then I spread it out again or binge on something else or whatever. But I feel like it's just too competitive, and there's always titles dropping. Always titles dropping. Then, of course, at some point, GTA 6 will be released. And that's the last video game any of us will ever play. We'll just be completely immersed. This is Burns. I'm going to take a look at a map here. I don't know if we're going to make it to Ontario. Where are we at? Well, we're just over 30 minutes. Hang on, let's pop up a map quick. Quick like. Oh dear. We're not even halfway there. Alright. We're pulling it over. Whoa. Center the camera. We'll pull it over at the next place that we can. For some reason I thought this was closer. Oh. Oh well. Well, that works out because I'm just about out of things that I wanted to mention. But I hope we've got a place to pull over up here. Yep, looks like yep, it's a gas station right there. And what's going on over here? What? Oh dear. Nice little detail. I like it. So we've got a motel, but it's false. Can't actually pull in there. I think we can pull in here, yeah. And I'm not going to get too fancy. I'm just going to kind of stuff it in here by the pump, and we'll call it. There we are. Beautiful. Stop right here. Get her down to neutral. Set the brake. Hop right out here. There you have it, folks. Thanks for stopping back to check out The Portable Gamer. Thanks for joining us for another episode of American Truck Simulator. We'll see you next time. Take care now.